Hey, Steve Minani here. Before we get to our junkyard crawl video for today, just a heads up, on October 1st, if you're in the Durant, Oklahoma area, I'll be there live at Spanky Assiter's inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction at the Choctaw Casino and Resort Event Center, again in Durant, Oklahoma, where a whole bunch of cool collector cars are going to get sold, many of them at no reserve. And I'll be on the stage live doing commentary. One of the best cars and most special cars in that event is going to be the actual 58 Chevrolet Impala, fully restored, that was once owned by Peggy Sue Gerron. Yes, that Peggy Sue, the star of several Buddy Holly songs. Pretty, pretty, pretty Peggy Sue. That was her 58 Impala. That car is going to get sold at no reserve, again, on October 1st at the inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction in Durant, Oklahoma, October 1st. Be there if you want to take a shot at that car and just check out a great auction. Okay, let's get right into the junkyard crawl here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking. Hey, Steve Minani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts, with the first of a two-part video series today and tomorrow. We're going to call this one the two-piece Pontiac. What we have right here is the nose of a 1963 Pontiac Bonneville. Now, of course, 1963 was the first year for stacked headlights on full-size Pontiacs, not seen on GTO till 65, but again, you saw it here first. Now, 63 also was the first year for the Tempest, which was the compact Pontiac. But again, this is first year for 63 with the stacked lights. And again, we all know that the Bonneville arrived in 1957 as a fuel-injected convertible. Yes, very rare car, only 630 made. By 1959, the Bonneville name was applied to anything two doors, four doors, convertibles, wagons. The only thing you couldn't get in a Bonneville was a two-door post. But with that said, this one has steel front fenders. Let's remember that 63 was the year that the Swiss cheese Catalina with aluminum fenders, aluminum bumper, the 421 Super Duty came on the scene. Very rare stuff. This ain't one of those. But with that said, as a Bonneville, this has a standard Trophy 389 with a 4-barrel carburetor. Lesser Pontiacs like the Star Chief and the Catalina could be had or would be handled with a standard with a 2-barrel, the Trophy E economy. But this is 303 horsepower. But again, you could also get the 389 with triple twos, or yeah, the 421 in about 3 different flavors. The best of them, of course, being the 405 horsepower dual quad Super Duty, which is not what we have here. This is a pretty typical Bonneville with air conditioning. And of course, 1963, first year for the GM alternator, the Delco alternator right there, with interesting Pontiac-specific cooling fans and a little keeper for the belt. Power steering on this one here. And again, a pretty typical loaded Bonneville. We even have the driver's side remote mirror right here, which is a cable, which would go inside the car. We see right here, you pull and push on these cables, and this would activate this. And again, this is located pretty far forward on the fender, which is a pretty sporting touch, almost like a Ferrari. And again, at this point in time, 1963, Pontiac with the Grand Prix and the upcoming GTO was really fancying itself a European-ish American car. But something that's very not European about this one is this transmission. This is what's called the Roto Hydramatic. Now, inside of this are some very unconventional guts. In fact, these transmissions were out of production after 1963. Again, 1964 would bring the Turbo 400, which is a much more traditional transmission, which is the sort of the Chrysler Torque Flight style internals, whereas this has a fill and dump valve body, and these were kind of lurchy, but again, here it is right here, the final year for the Roto Hydramatic transmission. Now this car here, we can see it has a Y-pipe here and single exhaust. You say, well, what's up with that? 4-barrel 389 with single exhaust. Here's the Y-pipe right there. Well, dual exhaust was about a $31 upcharge, even with the 4-barrel base Trophy engine. Now, if you had a tri-power 389, you had standard dual exhaust. And of course, any one of the 421s would also have dual exhaust. But on the base 303 horsepower Trophy 389 single exhaust was based, unless you paid the extra money for the duals. Kind of weird. Now, the wheel covers on this are interesting because they pay tribute to the theme of the design of the 8-lug integral aluminum drum wheel, which was an option, I believe $110 or so. These kind of look like with the conical shape in the center, which looks very much like the 8-lug wheel. But again, let's not fool ourselves. That's a 14-inch steel wheel with a conventional 11-inch iron drum brake behind it and a simple stainless steel wheel cover on the front of it. But here it is, Bonneville right here. The name, of course, named after the famed Utah salt flats, where everybody from Sir Malcolm Campbell to Al Teague set speed records. Of course, the Summers brothers, Mickey Thompson, a lot of history at Bonneville. And Pontiac actually had a big page in Pontiac history, or Bonneville history. In fact, Mickey Thompson, with his Challenger 1 4-engine car, raced at Bonneville, set records in 1962, I think it was. The Summers brothers, with their 4 Hemi-powered goldenrod in 65, kicked old Mickey out of the record book. But again, Bonneville, Pontiac racing, oh yeah, those things went hand in hand in the early 1960s. Now this one here, well, its days are kind of over. You can see that this basically is rusted in half, literally. The frame, which is a full frame on this, a perimeter frame, has rotted just below the cowl. We'll see the rest of that tomorrow in that video. But one last detail, and this is kind of cool, is the original T3 guide headlights at all 4 locations. Of course, T3 means when you're aiming these things, tilt it down and tilt it out 3 degrees and 3 degrees, T3. Now these are available as a reproduction today, but it's amazing to see T3 is perhaps the original headlamps from day 1 at all 4 corners on the grill of this 63 Bonneville. Or whoever owned this car would go to GM and get their parts from them instead of the parts store. But that said, it's weird to see T3s still in place on a car like this. Now come back tomorrow and we'll show you the rest of this 1963 Bonneville 2-door, and we'll learn more about the rear suspension, some special options that car has inside. So until then, be sure to subscribe to the Sneedbags YouTube channel, give us a like and all that stuff, and come back tomorrow to see the rest of this 2-piece Pontiac.